Welcome back, everybody. My name is Chris Anselmo. I'm with Tony Shore, and this is the Road to Retirement.
All
So,
right.
we had, I was telling Tony just off air, we had some tornadoes in the area last week, and it was pretty scary for a lot of people. I think it
Yeah.
was somewhere between 4 and 6 tornadoes touched down in the Cleveland area, and that's very rare. I mean, I
That's crazy.
I think I remember 2 in my lifetime that weren't even here near here in Ohio.
Sure.
Um, so one of the things that got me thinking of is, uh, like your documents and where to store things. God forbid something like that happens. And we have a system which is free to all our clients. And Tony, you know about it. It's called the Generational Vault.
Yep.
And I could probably get on our little website and show people, but basically it's cloud storage that's bank encrypted software, and it doesn't go through the internet. So I mean, it doesn't go through email. So instead of people sending us email documents, we're like, put it up in your folder, and then it goes directly from us to them without having to go through all the
Sure.
you
Yeah.
know people are so
Yep.
used to attaching things to an email and sending it, but I don't know who sees all that stuff, right? And so
Yeah.
if you, especially like a tax return or something that's got a lot of personal information in it. But we also we're talking a little bit about, when we do financial planning for clients, a lot of times they bring in statements, right? And that's kind of like
Right.
taking the inventory. Where is everything at? So, it might be banks, it might be brokerage companies, it might be Charles Schwab, 401k statement, where are all those? And so if you had a disaster like we had last week, it was pretty. I don't think anybody there was any loss of life, but then there's trees down, telephone poles down everywhere, and people were out of electricity for 4 or 5 days. So um, it's really hard, and maybe some people did lose all that stuff. So
Yeah.
we talked about on the show where and other advisors probably talked to you about your generational vault. So Tony, that's really a gradient idea. So
Yeah.
and you tell me a little more about it too.
Yeah. Well, my wife, Chris, my wife and I use the generational vault. And just the reason this is so important for listeners is it's more than just cloud storage because we can go in and see what our accounts are doing.
That's true,
So
right?
we can look at our IRAs or our 401ks and say, okay, it's all in one place. And you can upload as much as you want. That's what's amazing is you can put tons of pictures in there, videos, anything. It's especially good for legacy planning if something should happen to you. So if something should happen to my wife and I, my kids, our kids know, okay, we know the password for their generational vault. We'll go in there, we'll look, and you can choose who to give that information to, and you can even limit what some stuff if you don't want them to view certain things, you can section it off. So your kids can look at some things but not everything, or you can make it so they can see everything. But we have copies of our powers of attorney on there, wills, trusts, and everything's on there so they can see it. You make copies of your passport. If we're traveling and something should happen, there's a copy anyway that we can at least show. Hey, here's our passport information. Here's our powers of a medical power of attorney. Here's what it says. In the meantime, but it really does help put everything all together in one place. And that way, if you do experience a flood or a fire or a loss of life in your family, you or your spouse should pass, the other one knows where to find all the information, all your accounts, your retirement info. It's very helpful. The generational vault is huge. We use it all the time, and it's a great way to see, hey, what about this piece of information? We even use it. What is our son's social security number? Well, we've got it in the generational vault. I'll just look it up
Right.
really quick, and you can access it from anywhere there's an internet. And like you said, it's the same level encryption as banks use, so it's very secure.
I was
So
trying.
we love it.
Yeah, I was trying to somehow share the screen here, but maybe Tony could share a screen.
Yeah.
But
No, I saw your screen. It was on there.
so basically, it looks like you're on a computer and there's a bunch of folders, right? So
Yep.
there's certain folders that we have access to, and we could upload things to. Like we could put people's tax returns in
Sure.
there, we could put their wills, we could put their financial documents in it. And the other thing that's nice is there's a part of it that's private. So if you want to upload things that you don't want us to see, there's a private folder. We have people put the passports in there. And I think one of the gradient events we were on, somebody lost a passport,
Yep.
and they were able to go in and get a copy of the passport, take it to the U.S. embassy. It might have been when we went to Ireland, um, and able to get a passport. So
Yep. Yep.
it's really neat. And what Tony was talking about, the live version of it, is there is we use some software that um, keeps all your accounts current, so you can look at it. So there's a section in it that you could look at if you want to. They have all your statements in there, and you could look at any one time and see what the account values are. So it's really a neat a system. And with everything that happened last week, I was wondering, do people lose documents? People lose. A lot of people just have them like in a file cabinet somewhere.
Sure.
And if
If
they could,
there's a
and that,
flood or a
yeah,
fire
it
or the
gets
house
blown away.
collapses. Yeah.
So the generational vault, I wish more clients would use it, and maybe we should emphasize it more. But it is right on the top of our website. I think right in the corner there's a link to your generational vault. So generally, what happens when people come in, we give them a access to it, and we create a username, and we
Yeah.
give them a temporary
And you
password.
don't charge people to
Oh no,
use the
no, it's free.
generational
Yeah,
vault, and it's a huge tool. I mean, it's basically unlimited cloud storage too,
correct.
so they
And
can
you can
read
put whatever
pictures
you
for
want
their
in it. It
family.
doesn't it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be related to us. You can put whatever
Yeah.
you want in there.
Yeah.
And you can also, so we give them a username, we give them a temporary password. Then when they log in, they can create their own password. And then if for some reason they forget it, we can always reset it, and they can do it again. So um, the other thing is you're able to give access to other people. Like if you want your kids to have access to, you
Yeah.
can give them some type of login, and I'm pretty sure you can pick what folders they can see and not see.
Yes. Yeah.
you know,
That's exactly what I was saying. Yeah, you can pick what you want them to see.
yeah, and it really happens a lot with, I don't say this politely, but the generation before us was very closed. Like I didn't know
Yeah.
if I didn't do what I do for a living, I would never know what my parents had or
Sure.
have or where they're
Yeah,
up to,
they
right?
don't talk about
Right.
finances. My
Yeah.
grandfather and father never would discuss
Right. And then
finances. Yeah.
as estate planning attorney, when someone passes away, look, conceptually, this person's moved on. It's like you moved your house, right? You moved
Yeah.
on. We have to move all this stuff. Like, well, we have to find it first, right? So oftentimes we'll do a probate or not or trust, and then a year later, oh, we had this account at U.S. Bank, so we have to reopen the probate in something called a newly discovered asset because we didn't know mom and dad had that, and so if you can put on the ticker for the people who are watching this, that it's taking inventory. Where are all your accounts at? Now they don't have to be up to date, but it's nice to know where they're at. So
Yeah.
um, you don't have to put your monthly statements in all the time, but if you want to, you could scan them in and put them there, and then shred your documents. So I know a lot of people can say, well, I could just go to the bank and get it done, but this is just one spot because a lot of and maybe like for instance for me, and you probably have tons of passwords for all these different places, and so I created a spreadsheet for myself, Excel or whatever you want, whatever software you want to use,
Mhm.
and I put all my websites, all my passwords, and then I pass protect the spreadsheet
Yeah.
so that I could just have to remember that one number so I could go in
Yep.
and look at all the spreadsheets. So
And that's
maybe,
what the generational vault is.
yeah,
In fact, I have a list of passwords in the
yeah.
generational vault for
So,
my
so I was
family to
saying, like,
access.
I should actually upload that
Yes.
spreadsheet and just tell someone the password.
Yeah.
And it's stupid. It's like, what's my Costco number? What's my, Sam's
Yeah,
Club number? All
exactly.
the, what's my
Yeah.
airline miles? All that, it's all, but there's got to be 100 of them in there,
Yeah. Same.
And
I do the same thing, and it's gotten crazy because you need so many usernames and passwords
yeah,
nowadays. And there's other things to keep track of. Like you said, estate planning is probably one of the biggest y- advantages of using the generational vault is estate planning
yeah,
because you can keep all your important documents that people will need. And if something happens to you,
yeah.
my kids know they can go in there and they can see a list of, okay, I've got a huge record collection. It's probably
Oh
worth
yeah,
$35,000,
maybe
right?
more, maybe more. Look at all
Yeah.
those things back
Yeah. Yeah.
there.
Hope more, but at least that, at the very least.
Yeah.
So, what they
Do
can
you have an
do is,
inventory of the
yes,
records? Wow.
yep, and it's
Oh
in the
wow.
generational vault, and I tell them, here's how to sell it, here's
Oh,
who to call,
good.
here's what you need to do, here's where the passwords are, and it's all in the generational vault.
Don't
And
call
it's
me.
just,
I don't know anything about that stuff.
yeah.
I see your you have a Facebook page or something, and you got stuff going on there. It's
Oh
pretty
yeah,
cool.
I always have every day I post it, what
But
I'm playing listening to. Yeah.
besides tornado, there's there's floods, there's
Yeah.
hurricanes.
Yeah.
Floods would be really bad because you might lose all your precious documents. So, for instance, on the estate planning side, we actually when we do it, we bought a bank, right? We bought a bank building. Sorry, we didn't buy the bank.
Yes.
We bought a bank building, so we actually have a real vault, like with the big wheel you turn, lock it up.
Yeah, it's
So when we
very
do,
cool. I've been inside
yeah.
it. It's
So when
awesome.
we do
Yeah.
people's estate plans, we generally keep the original wills and we lock them in that vault. And on the bottom
Yeah.
of their will, it says we have the original. Because if a flood came or whatever came and you lost the original, it's more of a pain to like we can use a copy, but the presumption is if you can't find the original, the person destroyed it intentionally.
Yes.
So then, generally, if you can't find the original, then we have to call in the witnesses
Yep.
that said, "Yeah, we actually saw him witness this and that." Like sometimes the witnesses are dead.
Yeah.
So, so it'd be a good thing to have a copy at least in the generational vault and all your other documents and power of attorneys, healthcare power of attorneys.
Yep.
Oftentimes, if it's a crisis with healthcare, someone's in a car accident they need to operate. Talk to my wife. She's on the other table. She's unconscious. Call. They need to know who to call. They don't have time to read through like they want phone numbers. Call my son. Call my brother. Call whoever. My daughter. So it would be a good thing to have all those documents up in the generational vault. So I thought we would just talk a little bit about that today because of what just happened last week. So there was
Yeah.
quite a few people that didn't have power for 4 or 5 days.
That is too
Yeah.
bad. And yeah, that's really scary, especially multiple
Yeah,
tornadoes.
and nobody thinks about it here in Ohio.
No.
If you lived
No.
in the tornado belt,
Yeah,
you probably got
Oklahoma.
this down, right? I mean, you have
Right.
tornadoes every year, right?
Yeah.
Again, I remember a little tornado when I was probably in high school, um, but this one was major. This was like
Yeah.
4 to 6 tornadoes touched down
Yeah.
different places. And it's oddly enough, in our office, it hardly rained here, but a mile away there was a tornado, and we didn't even, didn't even know.
Yeah.
Like, well,
Yeah.
worst case scenario, I'm going in the vault. so, we were just kidding around. I drove home. There was hardly any rain on the way home, but 2 miles away from here, there was tornadoes. Actually, where my son used to live, there was one, but his old house didn't get hit, but it was like a war zone. I mean, you had all the power lines down, all the power poles down, trees
Yeah.
uprooted. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah. Tornadoes are scary. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I
take
just rewatched that movie Twister too.
oh yeah.
So it's fresh on my mind. Yeah.
So part of it taking inventory, it's good every now and then to just even if with your financial plan or us, it's just when people come in to do their financial stuff, we have something we call our green sheet. I don't know if I have a copy of it here, but it's just basically just I don't need it to the dollar, but just tell me where your accounts are at. So God forbid something happens. I know you have these 3 bank accounts. I know you have this annuity. I know you have this brokerage account at Fidelity or Schwab or Vanguard or whatever. So, and
So
then,
you can help their family figure
yeah,
things out. Yeah.
so,
As their
because like I
attorney
said,
and financial
the last
advisor.
generation, they didn't tell their kids anything.
No,
They're like,
no.
they'll get it when I'm dead.
My
Yep.
dad and my grandfather, the baby boomers and the greatest generation, they really were tight-lipped about anything, and there was very little communication, and that's what the generational vault helps with, Chris, is
Yeah.
communication. And here's one thing that I know a lot of people use the generational vault for that's kind of cool. My wife and I have not done this yet, but as far as estate planning, they leave the password with their kids if something should happen, and they record a video, a
Yeah. Yeah.
message
Yeah.
for their family to watch after they're gone. So
Yeah.
once
We
they
we actually
pass,
have the ability to do that for clients.
yeah. Oh,
Um,
yeah, that's great.
but it's kind of,
Weird.
yeah, it's kind of weird. It's
It
like,
is. That's why a lot of, some people do it, some people don't. My wife and I haven't. Nobody likes to think about their own mortality or death or talk to their kids
and
about it, but
hopefully it's a real nice video. I hate it, because the one we had, the sample one we have, um, it's two actors who really know what they're doing, right?
yeah.
It's all lovey dovey. Hopefully,
Yep.
hopefully it's not. I never liked you in the first place. That's why you're not getting anything.
Well, and it could go one by one. It's like, to Adam, we're gonna leave this, and then we want you to know this. We love you, son. And to Joe, we never liked you. You're a bad person. You get nothing. You don't. It can be awkward. You don't want that. But
Yeah.
obviously, for a lot of people, it is important to leave a message for their loved ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just a little video clip they
Yeah,
keep
and you
in
can
generational vault.
upload, and
Yeah.
that's something for the family to watch, or further instructions like, "Hey, if you're seeing this, something has happened
Yeah.
to us." So,
I mean, it's
uh,
as simple as recording what we're doing today, right? I
yeah,
mean, you
yeah,
just get on the thing
it's
and record
easy.
it. Yeah.
It seems a little weird at the time, but sometimes it can be really important and something for your family to have. Some people like to do it, some people don't. But I know people that have, and I think it's neat for their family to leave a loving message or instructions for them.
And we did this for a long time. We should probably get back to doing it. We would record a video when we did the estate plan, and just to tell them what's actually in the estate plan.
Yes, to kind of
Because,
explain it.
instead of them leafing through 300 pages of stuff, right?
Yes.
So as the law firm, we had this little, and we went through the document and say, this is, it's kind of generic, but it's tailored to them. This is who your power of attorneys are. This is who your advisors are, and things like that. So we'll have to probably do that again to get that part
Revisit
of our
that.
system again, because
Yeah.
we told people, so they would give it to them on a little little zip drive or whatever call it, and say, hey, you could just give this to your kids and tell them to watch it. They don't have to read these 400 pages, right? So
Right. Right.
yeah, so the generational vault would be a good place to keep any of that stuff. And even, God forbid, something happened to us, right?
Right.
It's your vault. It's
Yeah.
there in the cloud, right? So
Yeah.
um, and again,
And it's it's managed by a large third party
oh yeah,
company,
yeah.
Gradient, who you work with investments and everything else. So it's going to be there long after you and I are gone. So
True. And we have on our tax side, we have a portal that runs through our tax software similar to Generational Vault. So we can upload documents there and just on the tax side. But when it's all said and done, we can then take your tax documents and just upload it to your tax folder so you can get to it whenever you want. Right.
right.
I should probably do that for my brother, because every 3 weeks he asks me for another tax document. So if Tony, you're listening, it's like, I can't find my EIN number for it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's a really good, and it's free, right? I mean,
That's the amazing part, because it's as a software, it's really good. It does a lot, and there's a lot you can do with it, and it provides a lot. It's just a great tool. And the fact that it doesn't cost anything is,
yeah,
that's what's really mind boggling. I mean,
and refresh them on the financial reporting part of it. You said you keep your financial
Yeah.
reports in there.
Yeah, well, if you have live accounts like an IRA, any investment accounts or stock accounts or Charles Schwab,
Right.
those are actually, you can set those up inside the Generational Vault. So they're active. So you don't have to go to the different, I don't have to go to Charles Schwab and then go to open my IRA and open my 401k. I just go to the generational vault, and within that, it pulls those up.
Yeah. So
So they're all in one
yeah,
place.
for our
And I can
listeners,
see
we
the
use
active.
yeah, we use Schwab as our custodian, so
Yeah.
that's why he's mentioned Charles Schwab. But
Yeah.
it could be anywhere because the system, I think it's called by all accounts. There's
Yeah.
some segregation system. I think we're going to a new one now that pulls from your
Yes.
wherever your accounts are at. So
That's
if they're
what
at
it
Fidelity or
does.
they're at
Yep.
Vanguard, whatever, and it aggregates them all in one place.
Yeah, and it just shows you the current number. Like if you
Right.
want to check where this account is at, I can just go to the generational vault and check.
Right.
I don't have to worry about, okay, what's my login for the Schwab site? What's my login
Yeah.
for this site? It
So-
utilizes that, and it's within the, you can set that up within the generational vault. I mean, there are other third-party softwares where you can
Yeah.
set that
Yeah.
up, but everything in one place is just, the
Yeah.
convenience of it is crazy.
And it also takes accounts that we are not like. Look, obviously, we have clients that we don't manage all their money.
Right.
So,
Right.
so
They can put
if they have-
anything in there.
Yeah. So we use Charles Schwab as our custodian, but they might have a Vanguard account or for it can still sync to all those because basically you set up. Hey, go look at this
Oh, yeah.
one, pull this in. So
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be everything we manage.
Right.
And but it would be nice. I'd love it if all our clients used it the way it could be used so that they go to one site, look at it all, tell their kids, God forbid something happens. So here's where
And
everything's
then
at.
you can go to that site to help them or answer questions. So yeah.
And again, I think I do like the fact that there is a private folder. So if you want to upload
Yes.
pictures or you want to upload stuff that you don't really want us to see or we don't need to see,
Yeah.
you can do that. And you can give access to that to your loved ones too.
To whoever you want. Yeah.
I don't know if
Or to no one.
personally, I don't know how someone in our office does it, but I don't know if you give them a separate password or whatever it is, but and
Yep.
then you could turn that off. Like if they're, the one
Yeah.
kid's not nice to you, you could tell them, okay, you can't see it anymore. So,
Yeah.
it's really flexible and it's, because it used to be just binders of stuff. Keep all your bank statements, keep all your in a binder. And we used to create these binders. We just called it, we probably had a show on it. We called it the very important paper. It was VIP binder. It was very important binders.
Yep.
We had tax returns, we had annuity statements, we had brokerage statements, we had bank account statements, but you can do all that electronically now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is. Well, you know what, Chris? This is great. So if our listeners want to try out the Generational Vault, all they have to do is go to your website, but they should set up a consultation. You can help them get it set up. And that number is 440-886-3550.
Or brooksidetax.com. And we also have Calendly. People have heard of that. Where you can go on and set up your own appointment
on your website. They
your
can set up
websites.
their own appointments, see what's available, set it up. And again, brooksidetax.com. That's an easy one.
And I believe if you go to our website, there's maybe even a video on the Generational Vault.
Yeah, I think there
what's it
is. Yeah. Yeah, at brooksidetax.com.
Aaron takes care of all that. I don't.
Sure.
They don't let me mess with it.
No. Yeah, that's good. All right.
Okay.
Well, Chris, great show, a great tool that you're offering for our listeners out there. And I encourage our listeners, if they have questions about their finances or need a financial advisor or have tax questions about Medicare, Social Security, stock investments, really Brookside is got a great team there. It's a one-stop shop, and you've helped so many people with retirement income planning. You do it all there, and I think it's very helpful. I wouldn't want to do any of that without working with someone like yourself. So listeners, pick up the phone, give Chris a call, 440-886-3550.
Okay, we will see you next week.
All right. Great show, Chris.
Thanks.